Hi, I'm Sarah. I'm deeply in love with all things beautiful that make life bloom. I believe that with every step we take, we can make life grow stronger. Some think that's a struggle, but I think that it can be done in all sorts of fun and enjoyable ways. That is why I started to film the Lifekeeper's Diaries. Here is where I share my views of beauty, my ways of giving back to life, and my sparkles of creativity. I think those are exactly the ways of how to fill life with joy and love for ourselves and others. That is the way of a Lifekeeper.
Today I'm greeting you from my sacred place. So it's Easter, and to many people it's like a sacred day because, we all know the story behind Easter, and we know that quite a large part of the world celebrates it, but I'm not religious, so I'm not really celebrating it. So I decided to go to my sacred place, and this is Bohinj. And why is it my sacred place? Well, because for quite a long time I've been calling it my soul's home. So it is a place where I come when I need some support, when I need me time, and when I need wisdom from life, from nature, from earth. This is a place where I feel most supported. And I've been here a few times this year already, and I actually combine video footage from 2 days in this video, and one will be from today, from Easter, and one will be from Ostara Day, and that was the last time that I was here. And I think it is quite symbolic to combine Ostara and Easter, because Easter is actually based on the symbolism and tradition from the previous religions and cultures that celebrated Ostara, which is on the spring equinox. But what I wanted to share with you today was another synchronicity, and one of those happened to me lately, let's say in this Easter and Ostara time, because somewhere in between those dates, I was called by a book that I've actually had for quite a long time already, and it's called The Woman with the Alabaster Jar from Margaret Starbird. It's this one. I've had this book for a long time and I just didn't feel like reading it. And then life just told me itself, now is the time. Now you are ready for this message, because there was the right situation. And the situation was that it was the time of Easter and Ostara, in which Mary Magdalene, which this book is about, was the most important and was the most active. And you know, I really love such synchronicities, such situations when I see that life is so much greater than myself, and yet I am a part of this life. You know, I can never be disconnected from this greatness, from this infinite source of wisdom, of inspiration, of magic. Yeah, because it really is magic. So there's not really the point in me telling you all about this book, because, you know, the best way is for you to read it and to draw your own conclusions and find your own messages that touch your heart or your life. Because, you know, even one person never reads a book with the same mind and with the same eyes and the same heart twice, let alone two people reading it. So maybe completely different information will touch your heart than I would be touched by. So the best way is for you to read it yourself. But the point is that it tells about Mary Magdalene and her relationship to Jesus. And the message from this author, so Margaret Starbird, is that most probably, if you go through various literature about Jesus and from sources that are maybe not even included in Bible, or, you know, the references that maybe church wouldn't really approve of, if you go through all of that and then also connect it to the knowledge that we have about that era, so not precisely about Jesus, but just the era itself, you know, the religion that they followed at that time and the society, how it functioned at that time, and then various historical sources. So if you combine all that, it is most probable that Mary Magdalene was the wife of Jesus, and then after he was crucified, she actually had his baby, so a daughter named Sarah. So I've heard about that theory even before I read this book, and I have to say that to me it was completely logical. It was something that I could relate to, you know, in my heart, something that I could say that I believe in and that I trust is the right interpretation of that time and Jesus's life. So, as I've said, I don't follow any religion, and I suppose I'm just not burdened by dogmas or rules of how to think about certain things, or about some knowledge that is the right or the wrong knowledge. To me, this whole thing is a very open space, open to different interpretations and open to also different inspirations. So I know that much of this information about the relationship between Mary Magdalene and Jesus sounds quite heretical for many people in this world, even though I just do not understand that. I mean, what could there ever be heretical about two people loving each other, sharing something beautiful with each other, accepting that even women were the wise people throughout time, even when they were not really accepted well in society, and then having a child together? What is ever heretical about that? So even though I'm not religious in any way, I just want to stress out that I have deep respect for the wise people throughout history of humanity. So it doesn't matter from which religion or tradition they come from. If they shared wisdom, if they shared love, if they shared something supportive to life, I'm all about it. You know, I am 100% supportive of their stories and of their teachings. But I think that it is very, very important to realize that many things throughout history were turned into propaganda for certain interests and were abused in many different ways. So there's a lot of censorship that happened throughout history and is still happening, and there's a lot of twisting of certain teachings and messages from people that were all about doing good and all about sharing love. And I absolutely believe that Jesus and Mary Magdalene were two of those people. And that's why I believe that it's really important for us to shake off the limits of teachings that we were given in this culture that is not much about supporting life, and be open to new interpretations, to new information that were gathered lately, and to freedom of thought that we often try to limit. And in doing that, we definitely need to be careful not to criticize ourselves and others for changing our thoughts and changing our beliefs. So we've been taught many different things, and much of that knowledge is not right, is not correct, and is definitely not supportive. So there's nothing bad about changing your thoughts and changing your beliefs into something better, into something fuller with truth, and into something that is much more supportive to the individuals and to humanity in general. And I think that it's also very important for us to realize that we do not need certain authorities to tell us what's right and what's wrong. It's about us, it's about an individual finding the truth for him or herself. So we all bear wisdom inside of us. We are all capable of thinking, of finding our own truth and realizing what feels right inside of us. You are your own greatest authority, and we should take responsibility and also take pride in our individualism, in me being a human being with my own head, with my own brain, and with my own heart. I think that is one of the greatest lessons that human beings need to learn today in this world. So my exploration wasn't really about Mary Magdalene or Jesus, but it was about their partnership, about what they were after and what their teaching as a couple was about. So not about the teaching of one or the other, but them as a couple. because we often talk about the teachings of certain teachers, but we don't really talk about the couples. You know, what do they represent or teach together, if there are any? But, well, let's be honest, there aren't really many in this world. It's much about individuals, but not much about people coming together and creating a completely new story in connection between two wholes, you know, so one pole and the other pole, creating something new, you know, like a new reality. So I thought I'll come here and then read a little bit and then meditate on that. But just as I came here, this whole place was telling me, just look, just observe, just look around yourself and see the wisdom in this place, see life, see the dynamics in what surrounds you. And when I did that, that's when the message was revealed to me. That was exactly what they were about. You know, it's like him being sun that is constant, that is peaceful up there in the sky, something that is shining upon the whole land. And she is the landscape, she is the reality of this world, something impersonated, something physical in this place. You know, if we went to the Indian tradition, it would probably be about Shiva and Shakti. And if you compare their story to many different stories throughout different traditions, you would find many different couples that were represented that way. They cannot work on their own in this reality. They cannot be alone in this world. They need to be together. So there's no life without sun, but there's also no life on this planet, in this reality, without the female force creating things, the things that are constantly changing, the things that are moving, you know, like water, like mountains, like all the plants and animals, everything that is constantly moving, that is in constant rebirth, that is the female force. And they need to come together. So if we just stop and give it a chance to touch us, we can actually feel that. We can actually feel that this whole place called world is full of this force of love. It can be felt. It can be felt physically. You know, it's like feeling how the landscape and sun are making love to each other. And I believe that that's exactly what they were about showing this unity and these dynamics between two counterpoles, bringing feminine and male together, and then the dynamics that happens between them. And it's all about creation, and it's all about love, and it's actually about love making. It's love creating. It is something that creates even more love, that brings it into this existence here in this dimension. And I cannot picture how could that ever be wrong? How could that ever be a sin? Because that is actually creation of life. This creation of life cannot come from only one side. They need to come together and make love and make life. And that's what they did. So I think that they showed us the way. They showed us that it's possible and what's possible if we own it. But it's up to us to own it. It's up to us to take responsibility and live that in our own lives. And it's not just about, getting married to somebody and then have children. It's far from that. It's about living the life force, being the creator of life on all levels in your own way. So what they had was their own way. But us as individuals, we need to own our own path, make our own decisions, create our own life. So yeah, I really hope that you've got something valuable out of my today's message, because I really think that it was given to me to be shared. So for now, I'm just letting you enjoy the rest of my trip in this most amazing place that I hold so dear to my heart, and just seeing this dynamic of lovemaking in physical, you know, in every corner of this place, in every tiniest piece of this place. It's just the game of this endless lovemaking, and let's change that. Lovemaking is sacred. It's never been a sin. It could never be a sin. So let's just embrace it and enjoy it, because it is all about pleasure. It's about pleasure of creating life. I mean, just think, what could be more pleasurable than creating life, than creating something beautiful, something meaningful, and then filling this world with the pleasure of creation. We were made for that, so let's embody into it. Yeah, let that be the final message of today's trip. Let's embody pleasure and creation and love.
I've heard a story, I've heard it said, I've come to believe that love is a bet. Sometimes you win and sometimes you lose, and sometimes it calls you right in the move. Come to my table, come to my bed, go easy, my